Thanks for the question. Pending bills, first apology for skipping that, otherwise I have it here. Pending bills, I have not had a chance, or legally I cannot be in the books of National Lands Commission because I'm still a nominee. However, that is something I'm really aware from their exit report, which is clearly indicating that there's a lot of pending bills. Now, they have to be some structures. Before the bills came, there was an open slate where maybe that court case wouldn't have ended up in court if there was some sort of management of expectations of the people who are affected by the projects. People who have issues with ADC for late compensations, people who have issues of all kinds that actually brings us to court to sort of defend that. And that is very, very expensive, I agree. And the solutions is always in the problems. For me, in this case, I believe they ought to have been some management of, let's start with the budgeting. If you budget for, in 1 year or depending on the term of your budget, you have to budget what you are going to be facing, whether it's cases. You can even look at what are some of the intentions of the people who are going to court and mitigate from that angle. What I am going to be tackling is to tackle that problem before it becomes a problem and reduce.
Okay, honorable members, I think we have 6 more nominees. Some of these things we just note that is giving us a lot of information which we can then make decisions on once we are done, so that we don't bombard the chair nominee with questions when we already know that he has just stated a very simple statement that you've not, you are yet to go to NLC. What you saw was just something from the exit report, and we just leave it at that. I'm just trying to advise you, Chair, that just be very brief, give very straightforward answers, and then after that we'll just, instead of giving us a lecture and telling us so much about the theories of handling bills, pending bills. Honorable Zambia.
Thank you, Chair. My question will be very simple, so also anticipate to get a very simple answer on it. There is this issue of compulsory acquisition of land, and it has done before or previously, Chair. This issue has been characterized with a lot of corruption and the mismanagement of public funds. There has been this issue of if it's land to be compensated, the valuation in most of the cases has been exaggerated. Either if the piece of land probably per acre is 1 million, you find that the valuation goes even to more than 5 times. Now, assuming that we approve you as the chair of NLC, what measures will you take to make sure that there is no loss of money because of exaggeration in the matter of compulsory acquisition of this land? So can you give us what probably you might do to tame this kind of practice, which is currently ongoing?
And now, just one question each for those who have not asked, so that we can save on time. Respond to that. Okay.
The cost of most of the projects that we've been handling as a country have actually been exaggerated by what Honorable Zambia has actually claimed. When people know there is a project coming up in this area, they go and buy land, and then the evaluation is actually done in a way that, of course, is meant to fleece the country of its revenues. So perhaps the chairman to be, if he's going to succeed, may even want to tell us what he's going to do to make sure we do not have the country losing out or incurring more debts because a few individuals want to enrich themselves in matters of course compensation. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. You can take those two. Actually, they are related.
Yeah.
Exaggeration of valuation, and also that speculative nature, where people know, like now we know SGR is going to Kisumu. People rush and go and buy land, and then, you know, they collude with the valuers in NLC. You had the question. Just respond to those. 1 minute.
Thank you, Chair. Then I have a simple question, a simple response to that. We have excellent evaluators in NLC, and in addition to the staff or people, we also have an index. It's called Land Value Index, which really specifies the value of all the lands in Kenya. It may not be used right now because it has not reached some counties, and my first action would be to make sure that is enhanced and pushed to all the counties in Kenya. Thank you, Chair.
But you see, the idea is that those valuers are the wrong ones, and that's why we have this corruption. So when you say that you have competence and you have not been to NLC, how did you get this information?
This information...
Chair, before he answers, you know, one of the problems which we have been having, and I'll specify this one, we have incidents where the SGR land from Mombasa to Nairobi, the local people, their land was undervalued, and they were given very, very little amount of money. Yeah? The same land adjacent to where these locals are, these lands were owned by very influential people, and their valuation was bigger than the local ones. And when it comes to the pending bills or the payment, the compensation, these people who are still owed as little as 100,000 have not been paid for the last 6 years. But the big shots, the big boys in courts, they were paid billions of shillings through these valuers in NLC, who seems to have been compromised. So when you say that they are competent enough, and you have not been there, it gives us some questions.
Chair, may I?
I'll not allow you to answer that. Honorable Gideon.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, one very quickly is the concern that was raised by Honorable Gitari in terms of the institution of surveyors of Kenya. They did a memorandum to Parliament, but they didn't petition. I think one needs to note the difference. But what Honorable Gitari has alluded, as a committee, we may need to pick it somewhere, that for purposes of the two nominees, the two surviving members whose term expires in December, for purpose of answering or curing the problem that the institution of surveyors are bringing, if that can be considered, and we do it formally, so that maybe it's recognized as the outcome of the committee. But to Chair, maybe a comment that the Chair nominee may just a comment, but otherwise he can take them home as a package of what he may need to look at when he survives. Yeah, just in case he survives. One is that ADC has been managing public land. Is that constitutional? Or you've been presiding over an unconstitutional body as the chair? Number two, does ADC have an inventory of their land? And how does ADC dispose of land, public land? And when all those disposals are done, how does ADC relate to NLC, which is supposed to be the custodian of public land? And finally, is an issue like in your family, the case that has gone on for 46 years, this is short of like 15 or 16 years of your lifetime. A case is not sorted out. A land matter is not sorted out, whether in court or whatever. You as supposedly a chair of the commission, what will you want to look at, say that some of these things are disposed of in a manner that is short and makes economic sense than holding on land for 46 years when you can have some valuable use for the same land? Thanks, Chair.
Irene, lastly.
Thank you, Chair. Mine are two questions. One related to your experience and your CV according to what you gave us or read out to us. And my point is, I can see you are very passionate about Galana Kulalu and the achievements that you did. Just to highlight for us, one great achievement that you participated personally and the impact that it gave to the common mwananchi or the farmer. Noting that, of course, as the chair of ADC, you are there to assist normal farmers. And I just wanted to highlight for us that one key achievement that you did. Secondly, you are now coming to be the chair of NLC. It is also important to understand from you whether you had maybe researched or you know the role that you're coming to take up. And of course, the Constitution, Article 67(1), has established NLC as one of independent constitutional commission. I want you to highlight to us just maybe one or two functions that you are going to undertake as an NLC chair. Of course, guided by the Article 67(2) and the NLC Land Act 2014.
Nominee.
Thank you, Chair. I'll start with the first set of questions, which was that in the, I think the others were comments which are recorded, but about the inventory of land, ADC. ADC does have an inventory of all its land, actually managed by the limited company under ADC called Lands Limited. So ADC also manages public land, and when the time comes to dispose or allocate, we follow the rules that are associated with that function. And then we jumped into Wasini Island, and that some have in this committee feel that Wasini Island is not sorted. And the land stayed for 46 years without use, which is true, but we had no control to change that because the land was subdivided. Our 300 acres was subdivided into 100 mini plots. So at that time, before the judgment, it was really owned by who had the title deeds. When we got back, which is about 4 months or so, we have not taken action other than making sure we have all of it, because 5%, and I just emphasize 5% is the land that has the tourist bandas for people coming from the marine park. So the questions that followed was the two questions that I am truly passionate about the Mombasa cement achievements, and exactly what am I proud what is one achievement that came as a result of that partnership with the company that I'm proud of. Well, the work that has started and the water that has been made available to their farms, Mombasa Cement, and the rest is something to be proud. But specifically, to pick one example, the price of onions in Mombasa has gone down close to 10%. And this is because one of the trial crops that are being planted in Galana is onions. So that I am proud of, because my background, I may not be someone who really checks on the price of onions today, but my background is 1 cent, 2 cents removed from a price of some food item is an achievement, and I am proud of that. The last question was about the National Lands Commission mandate, and to just explain two that I will tackle with, or two that I will ride on, so that to move from where we are to the next. And for me, I repeat, even in this sitting, I was asked about historical land injustices, and that is something that has really taught me the problems related to that issue. So to me, that is among the very first of the NLC mandate that I will follow up in terms of resolving the backlog of the cases, in terms of looking for extra funding to do that, and actually practical questions or practical situations or problems that I can solve to make sure cases or claims related to HLI, historical land injustices, move forward and with a speed that is deserving. I think I've finished that.
So, thank you for that. We have, yes, Honorable Irene.
I think I didn't get satisfied with the impact.
No.
But because of time, let me just keep it.
Okay. Thank you for being magnanimous, Honorable Vice Chair.
Thank you, Chair. Bana Nominee Chair, one of the core mandates that Irene just asked that you did not mention is historical injustice in NLC. My question, from where you sit and from the time you have been nominated for this position, when you look at this country, which part of this country and to what extent do you think people are going through on historical injustices? That is one. Number two, what do you think you'll do different from your predecessors? We have had two chairmen before you. What do you think you'll do different? And Chair, lastly, this is a point of information. Last time we visited the ADC office, me and Mheshimiwa Ali Wario, the committee together with Mheshimiwa Rachel and Gitari, we were not pleased what we saw. We met two officers who purported to be managers at the same time. The office looked discarded under your leadership. Although you are not there, they may not have been reporting to you, but I'm sure the manager of that site, someone who was holding a paper, and another one is purporting to be the manager. Maybe Wario remembers that very well. We could not understand. Even we did not understand. We could not even know how to do a meeting with them. So maybe if he understands what happened, if he can explain to us on that site.
Yes.
Chair, thank you for allowing me to joyride on the Vice Chair's question, because I attended the meeting at Galana Kulalu, and the Chair, ADC, the committee felt that they were frustrated by yourself being the chair for ADC, and we are going to have many interactions with you in this committee. Are you going to assure Parliament that you are going to be a different kind of a chair? Because the committee visited, funds paid by Parliament, flights, accommodation in costs, travel from hotel to Kalana Gulalu, only to not to be received. And the Vice Chair is the one who was leading this committee. So I think this is a serious matter, Chair, bearing in mind that you have given a lot of, you have been very kind to him. I think this is a commitment that Parliament should get. And also he said that he sorted out that problem. It is important for Parliament to know how he sorted it out.
Chair Nominee.
I'll start from the last question, and I want to verify that the people who did not attend the invite from the Lands Committee, who didn't show up, is what I reportedly said I sorted out. Then, if that is the case, I meant when it was explained to me that the two officials from ADC didn't show up, I went to them because I am in charge of their work too. And they had a very clear explanation that they did not go because of communication, but they have come to the Lands Committee and resolved the problem. Once that was reported to me, I took it, this is something that here there was a problem with two officials, here there's a solution that they go.
Honorable
Chair, point of order.
Rachel first, yeah.
You can check with, with our records. On that day, the chair, who is the vice chair seated next to you, ordered, and this is a house of records, because whatever we discussed on that day was also recorded by our Hansard, whether the information that the committee needed on that day, whether it was ever given. And I'm saying that it's not something that maybe he can correct on the spot, but it is to give assurance that things will be taken more seriously, and that that matter also needs to be revisited by our secretariat to check whether what the nominee is saying, it is true that it was handled. Because Parliament is paid for by taxpayers' money, and it is expensive to fly members of Parliament to Mombasa for important business, actually to all the way to Malindi, for the purpose of dealing with a land issue or even a community issue, and not get any answers, Honorable Chair. I was just joyriding on the Vice Chair's question.
I think it's just a confirmation. They never did what the chair, the nominees, have confirmed from the clerks, unless they are going to do it in future. But the angle that question was taking is giving a commitment that it's not going to be repeated now that you're coming to NLC, if you come, if the House approves, if the committee approves, whether we are going to be treated the same, you know, that's the kind of commitment which was being sought. But you can just respond to all those questions plus that one. Just giving an undertaking.
So, Chair, what you're saying is I cannot, do I need?
You respond to the questions, you proceed.
Thank you. To respond to what has just been mentioned about the trip to Mombasa and the expenses and all the reaction from our ADC, I think I have given the committee, Chair, I've given the committee what I know as the chair in this situation.
Okay. Yeah.
You see, under normal circumstances, we as Parliament would communicate to an organization of our intended visit to maybe a certain place, and if there are no hitches, then there are no communications to the effect that you are not going to be available, it is assumed that you will be available. So this is exactly what we are talking about. You are not available, and neither was there any communication to the effect that you won't be there. Unfortunately, you people were not there. That is exactly what my colleagues are trying to put it to. That is why they're asking you to commit yourself. If you'll be picked as the chair of NLC, how are you going to treat, matters about parliamentary committees? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Through the chair, looking at what happened and what is reported, that is passed, but in the event that this committee approves my nomination and I go to ADC, this is some of the tools that, or package, or some actions that have taken place, and how we address the future is to actually have very strict adherence to our partners. National Land Commission needs this committee. Yeah? I am sure we'll be working throughout together until your end of tenure. And any summon from you, whether it's just the chairman or the whole commission, is going to be taken very, very seriously. And that is my commitment, that not only Lands Committee, but all our key stakeholders, whether it's Treasury, whether it's Parliament, we are going to take that very seriously, and action to be taken for those who will miss without reason. Thank you.
Thank you. I think we've come, I'll do the last questions, which are just routine. Okay. Number one is, have you ever been charged in a court of law or convicted? You answer yes or no.
No, sir.
Have you ever been adversely mentioned in any parliamentary report?
I have.
When was that? Maybe you can give details.
Right. The details would be my vetting meeting that I had with Gender Commission, Gender and Equality Commission, and that I think was recorded, and the fact that what report I got from the media was I was the most qualified candidate, however, I was not a citizen of Kenya. And that is still in the records. I even saw it in the newspapers recently, and some other things, but that is the one I'm referring to, sir.
So what is your net worth?
My net worth is 62 million.
That's a reconfirmation, because you gave it, it's only 66. 62.
62.
62.
62.
So, okay.
Chair, point of, you said 62 million, including the 10 acres of land? The 9, sorry.
Yes.
The 9 alone can be more than 62, Mr. Nominee.
My net worth, I may have been wrong in calculating it, by my net worth included not only the farms that I have, but homes, cars, apartments. So that totals up to that amount I gave.
Then lastly, what is your current unexpected source of income?
Yeah, right now I'm on salary at Agricultural Development Corporation, salary and allowances. And I'm also a poultry farmer. That is my second source of income, and nothing else.
So I think on behalf of the members of this committee, we want to thank you so much for the engagement. We will do the report and subject it to the full House to make a decision whether they approve your candidature or your nomination or not. So that is something which will be done maybe before the end of this week. So we really want to wish you the very best. You are now discharged. you pick your originals,
Thank you, Chair.
the original documents, and make sure that they are all. Thank you. We wish you well.
Thank you, Chair.
All right. So, honorable members, you have not done very well in terms of time management. CRCC is the chairman. So I think we'll have to replan before we allow the other candidate to come in, so that at least we can agree on how we are going to catch up. So do we, because now I'm proposing that we field only 2 questions,